What a faux pas. I'm just editing this video and I realised I hadn't said, welcome back dear friends. Here we are. Welcome back dear friends. I need to mount this gear in that hole there, so the shaft is just sort of sticks out. I can't know what you call shafts like that, but they basically don't go anywhere. They're just like stubby things. And I was thinking, oh, how can I do that? I want a shaft with a thing on the end. And what shafts I use with things on the end are these. For so many of my projects and kits and things, they're stainless steel rivets. And they're absolutely perfect because they're manufactured to really high tolerances. Thought I need a short one. Can you see how I did it? Look, it's amazing. It's the first time I've done that. Obviously with stainless steel, if you saw it, it work hardens and all your tools go blunt. But if you use a pair of bolt cutters, I really didn't know how well that would work. And it's perfect to the degree where I didn't have to sand it to get rid of it. It didn't sort of bend bits outwards. It's still perfectly the perfect diameter. There's a nice top tip for you. No expense spared. A background. Suddenly realised I couldn't see what I was talking about. So we've got this gear mounted. I can't wait to paint all this brass. You can actually see what I'm talking about then. If I lift the ratchets on there, look. The ratchet, the scoring ratchet, now turns this, which hopefully 1 to 12 or 12 to 1 or whatever. I'll have to try. Oh, not yet, because that's the first one. There's another gear to go on this one that's sticking out. Right, and this one is going to have the weight, the counterweight, that's going to be able to return everything to zero with a bit of luck. Another day and another shirt. A clean one, I hasten to add, as always. Now, I realised last thing yesterday, just before I started engraving the thousands score dial, that it was going to go backwards. I'm so pleased I checked. Like I say, none of this is planned properly, so I'm working out as I go along. So we've got the ratchet gear, and I've checked this because obviously I still haven't got round to... hang on, there's the phone, excuse me. What was I saying? Yes, so I'm going to do that next. I'm going to get that together, get that mounted back in there, because then I can let this run through, work properly, and check how far these go around, and I've got the planned scores in the right places. I'm very pleased that this one, wherever it's gone, that one does go clockwise and the thousands go anti-clockwise. But that's great. Adds a nice little bit of interest. I was just reassembling this and realised it's probably a good idea to mention its three lovely little mechanisms again. I'm really pleased with them. So the first one I suppose to talk about is the thing that stops the ball running down, because it can roll in either of these entrances and it ends up rolling down to this bottom exit here, which will be where, when it really reaches the top, that's where the ball's released from, and that works with a little seesaw mechanism. Isn't that lovely? So simple. And I have yet to, I'm looking forward to putting the screw or something down here, so when it reaches the top of the enclosure, that releases the ball. The next thing is when you put a coin in here, say for example a 20p piece, I keep talking about this and forgetting I haven't got whatever it is to show you. It goes in this slot, and all the coins are heavy enough, as you saw, to push down on a little lever. You can see the coin inside. So that pushes down on a little lever against a very, very fine spring. If the ball goes down this one, it means that that's still in play. So you can lift this back to the top because this ratchet's still out. You can still move it. So let's just release that again. But if the ball goes out of play and you've lost, it rolls down this one. Look at that. It pushes against a little lever here, or whatever you'd call it, which lifts, fingers and thumbs, which lifts this, which pulls back a little pin there and releases the coin. Now you could achieve that with probably one line of well-written code. Possibly half a line. In fact, I might give it a go, just out of interest, and see what it would take to write, say, an Arduino sketch to achieve all this and all that and all these other bits. That'd be quite an interesting thing to do. Anyhow, now I'm going to fix the two bearings on that I've remembered to cut the out little thing slots for that help it to roll up and down with the weights on, and then attach the weights on. I really am very pleased with this. it's got so many functions, because now it's got the weights on the bottom and the rollers, and then it's got this thing that's going to release that lever when it hits the top. We can adjust it. It does so much stuff, and I've got these 4 other ones. I wonder if anyone would be interested in getting one of these. I could send them to people for the cost of postage, because they're only going to be sitting around here collecting dust. And I suppose I could make up all the mechanisms to go on each one. It's a funny thought. Could even provide them with a metal ball, I suppose. I don't know. Just a thought. Let me know your thoughts about that. If you'd like someone sitting on your mantelpiece to impress your friends and baffle your enemies with. Right, now I'll get that installed in there. Right, so it's ticking away, dropping down. Got it installed. All seems to be working. I spoke too soon. This is what you can only work out so much in your head, but that just is knocking into there. So time to redesign this bit. Now I've got it in situ. Keep it simple, stupid. Use the bandsaw just to saw it down and file it a bit. Now that's perfect. What I'm now doing is 3D printing one of these without that really complicated bevel that I was so proud to have created. It's ridiculous, because I just want to use you know, a flat topped cheesehead M3 screw rather than a countersunk one, because you know you do a countersink up and it sort of spreads these things apart, which is silly. It's ludicrous, I tells ya. It's a couple of days later. This was knocking into that. Don't know why, haven't got a clue. The lead was hanging out a bit further one side, this side, and the fixing for the bearing was sticking out too much. Don't know whether that's a factor, so I've glued a little bit of M4 screw thread into the bearing with a slot in it so I can screw that in and out. So that's nice. I'm just not happy with it. It's the sort of thing that bugs you in the back of my mind. Then I noticed as I was about to put it back together, this is split, and I'm not surprised, because obviously screwing that down, this is 25% fill, so it's hollow inside, and with all the tension, that's right, all the compression from the screw, tension all round, it's just going to split. It's rubbish. So, dear friends, a piece of aluminum. Put that in there. I'm going to screw that on. I'm not going to put another 3D print one. I hope I don't have to. I'm just going to use some soft tappers and possibly some glue. Cut that off, make a hole in the right place, and I reckon that can then hang on there. I can adjust it accurately with a nut either side. Yes, you know, when it's just in the back of your mind constantly. Right, I'll get on and get back to you. There we are, aluminium plate with countersunk holes. Holes drilled in here for the soft tappers, and you can see, let me zoom in. This is what the inside of it looks like, and it did slice off pretty easily, especially on the cracked side. That's 25% fill with, I think it's about 1.8mm thick outer pieces, which give it all the strength. Right, let's get this fixed together. It was all going so terribly well. I was getting really excited just to put this through. Got an M6 nut, you can see where we're going with this. There isn't room for an M6 nut there because the hole is just above this bit. Oh my days, and it's all screwed on now and everything else. All I can think, I don't know, I'll have a think. This is such a pain. It's fascinating working with absolutely no plans. I did get that on by elongating the hole slightly. It now lifts perfectly, and what I've realised is, even if it's loose and can tip this way a little bit, I'll just add another bearing on the bottom to push against that. Now I can see it and sort of get a better idea of what's happening. Right, let's stop talking, get a coin and let's demonstrate. So, coin in slot. Oh, hey! There wasn't room to get the nut on, so I've taken this bit out. Right, let's get that bit back together first. Right, let's try again. Coin in the slot. Coin sitting in there. Lever pulled back. I won't lift it right up because it kept sticking at the bottom. There's a lovely pendulum without a weight on it. Here we go. Yes! It's It's right down to the bottom. I've also moved this over a bit, the fixing, so look, there's enough of a gap there now to reinstall that bit. Oh, what joy. I'll tell you, this project just keeps on giving. I've got it back together again, and it is freely dropping down to the bottom. That's great. But because I think I changed the position of this fixing, the holes don't line up with these ones, so the balls don't go down. But discouraged me? No. It needs to move up. Oh look, it's funny with it on its bearings. It sort of slides along. It needs to go up by 1.5 of your very best millimeters. Now, this lead is 1.5 millimeters thick, but I think this is heavy enough. It's nice to know that I could add another little bit, but filled with the joys of aluminium from earlier, I'm going to cut out a piece of this 1.5 millimeter aluminium and use that just as a sort of packing piece, because obviously it needs to be big enough to push that down. I'll get that done. After yesterday's great success at I can't tell you how pleased I am at finally getting the weight to drop evenly and regularly without sticking and everything else working, I thought I'd attempt some linkages today, dear friends. That's linkages to reset the score to 0. Let me show you. I couldn't get my head round it yesterday, so I had to do some drawing. And then I had to do some measuring where the holes and things are. And then I had to sit down and use some CAD to draw up the linkages and its supports. We've got them cut out. Look, new parts. Multi-level new parts. Now I could have sat, you know, because my CAD design software is just two-dimensional. Hence the fact it's called 2D design, funnily enough. So if I was going to work out, I'd have to do several drawings of the different dimensions or planes or whatever. So I thought I'd just make it and then work out where to position it, because there's one slot there that the linkage can go through to the other side. Because the linkage has to go from here, and this bit goes up and down. I'll pull the thing and then lifts back up again as you pull that. So that comes back up and clear background-ish. There we are. I'm just going to start here because obviously I need to now connect that movement, and this is a bell crank. It finally is, as someone pointed out last time. I think they said that this looks like a bit like a bell crank. Well, this is now. I've got linkage that comes through the middle, and I'm going to have another bell crank here to move up and link it to that, which is the releasing thing. When that pushes down, it lifts the two pulls off that ratchet. I've also got that bit made up, which is the linkage that's going to poke through the middle, so I'm going to get that poked through the middle, like, oh, it's not going to go, is it? Not when I'm filming. I'm going to get that linked up, then I can work out the movement I've got and how much I need to amplify, reduce or expand it, extend it, to move that sufficiently. I'm making up as I go along, but that was the whole point of this project, and that's going to add another nice little dimension, a twiddly bit. Then of course there's bells. Lots of people have been mentioning bells and whistles. Bells and whistles are a brilliant idea. I've got some plans. Ziggy and I, walking through the park, have been thinking about this, and I have some plans for having a bell ring every sort of time the score goes up, all sorts of stuff. Oh yeah, and I must thank, so I'll put a name on the screen because I do record all the comments and suggestions because it's really valuable. I've got a huge document of them all now. Someone suggested the time machine, H.G. Wells. Of course, because the whole idea of this machine is the scoring and everything works on time, and it's got a big knob that you lift up and a sort of display of time. Where's my hand? I'm going round off screen. There we are. Dials going round displaying times and scores. It's perfect. As I say, this I hope is going to be the first of several of these machines. So I'm now erring rather on from Jules Verne. H.G. Wells time machine. This is how I'm working out the limits of movement. There we are. And that works out as just 6 millimeters here. Now I can measure how much wherever it needs to be moved, this one. So this bit moves 6, and thankfully the top bit moves 5.5, so that's great. What a fool I've been. I'd forgotten I have got this pull down photographic thing background. It does squeak horribly, but look, there's another one there. Because now when I pull the little knob, let's pull it. Isn't that lovely? Lift it again. And that, cunningly, is right below that. Oops, right below that. I'll now measure that and get the final part of the linkage made up. And all these levers and linkages started off because I wanted to know, I wanted to make some sort of adjustable thing to push down on that coin release that's going to fit through a hole there, which I must drill. And I didn't know whether it was going to sort of get in the way of other bits and pieces around it. It's funny how one thing leads on to another. I have to say, with a black background, it really does look lovely. Very pleased with that. It's really nice and clear now. Right, stop admiring your handiwork and get on with it. Oh, this is really coming on. It's so exciting. And look, there's a piece of string now, so I can pull this up and down really easily. Now, knob down there. I will pull the knob whilst filming the top bit. What we're particularly interested in now with this linkage is these pulls. So I will pull the thing. Look, they've popped out. So this is now free to turn. Oh, it tells you. And then, if I simulate lifting the ball carrier up, I will film it again. Got that on there. They drop down. And I even realised, of course, I need a little slot in the top of this linkage so that the ratchets can continue to work. Oh, it is so exciting, and I love the way it looks as well. So, next job, which theoretically is the last one to get this whole sort of circular interlinked mechanism, scoring and game management system working, is to put that pin adjuster. Now I know how much room I've got, I'll go and design one of them. Actually, I just have to go on about this a bit longer. I love the fact that a little knob down there ends up moving all this stuff here. It's lovely. I just pull that, and isn't that satisfying? Because it pushes up that bit in there, and that pushes up that, and that. Oh, I do love mechanisms. I have to say it. I think it would be lovely to use one of these little brass thumbnail turn things to adjust and fix the coin release mechanism in place. So I designed it. Here's a plan view so I know where the holes need to be, and that's where I'm going to put the adjuster, and I've made sure there's enough room. 10mm top, 2mm pedestal at the bottom, because that's almost 10. I thank you. Let's get that cut out. How lovely and exciting to be able to design it 1 minute in the kitchen and then make it a few minutes later in here. Right, let's get that mounted up. And the last thing I need to do before I can finally demonstrate the working game management system is to install a little pulley thing, a little coil of string or chain or something to reset the scoring system. Well, that's good, because that is pulling it round with one of those things, and it doesn't need to be that heavy if it's working here. It's sometimes stopping. I'm still fiddling with adjusting the ratchet. Okay then, walk time, Ziggy. Come on then. She just doesn't believe it. It's actually happening. Oh. Righty tighty, let's see if it'll work and I can demonstrate it. That looks nice on there. Once that's all painted up, that's lovely. Right, so this is so complicated. I'm going to try and get it right. So basically there is a score on here. I haven't put hands on yet, but you can see that's wound up where the previous player has been getting their score. So I want to play a game. I'll try and lift this. It won't lift because that pin, the coin thing, is in that hole. So what I need to do is I need to put the coin in here. Nothing happens. So I need to release the coin, and as I pull this, I don't know how to show you this. Pull that. Look, that immediately starts whizzing round back to 0. And then I can lift this, and when I reach the top, the ball's hold on a minute. The ball is released here and then starts its way through the game with the player manipulating controls to keep the ball in play. As it's ticking down, this is counting up the score. As soon as the ball hits the bottom, hits this backtrack, which means it's still in play, it waits. That's it. So that's good, which means the coin is still stored in there, which means I can still lift this up for another round. And the score is not reset this time. Ball's released. Oh. Hang on. Just start that again. There's too much happening. The ball's released, so it's in play again for the second round. The score continues to count up via all these lovely gears, and then this time we're going to lose, and the ball ends up in this one. That goes down to the bottom. Look! The coin's released because it's gone through that hole. That's lovely. That's the end of the game. Obviously, because the coin is gone, that's now put in, so I can't lift this up without putting more money in, and my score is stored on there by the amount that the string has been winding up. If that makes any sense, you're a better person than I. Right, I'm really pleased with that, because the fact is that all the different parts of the mechanism are working, and this can just hang down in that bit at the back that I'm going to build to hold the pendulum and things. Fantastic. Finally, I have the game management, the Steampunk game management system arcade thing working. Oh, what joy. I think this is definitely a good time to finish this video before I think of some more things, like how to add bells and things to it that so many of you have kindly suggested. Thanks very much for watching. I really greatly appreciate all the suggestions and comments that you've been very kindly sending. Keep them coming in, because the next thing is to get it painted, get the bells on it, bells and whistles, then start on the actual gameplay itself. So keep the ideas coming. Please remember to click subscribe, like and whatever else it is. Hope to see you next time. Oh, I can't tell you how pleased I am to actually finally have got this working. Lovely.